Preserving tyres is one of the lesser spoken about topics in the world of racing. Sprint races don't really need any type of time management, but any competition with longer stints, such as endurance racing, will. In this video we will discuss the various different ways you can help look after your tyres, and we'll split them into two sections. The first section is driver input. Now, before we get into how you can manage that, let's look at the tyre itself. There are several different types of tyres you can get on a race car, and we'll look at slick tyres. You will of course know that you can get soft, medium and hard compounds of these tyres. The likes of F1 are actually only about 10% real rubber, and the rest is made up of synthetic materials. This means that when they are mixing their super secret concoction formula, they add more of one chemical than another. Imagine you are having a coffee and want to put milk in it to soften the taste. The more milk, the less the raw taste of coffee. Well, that is essentially how the softer and harder tyres differ. It's nothing more than chemical levels. This in turn means the softer tyre can generate more heat as it moves more, which in turn causes the tyre to wear faster. The rigidity of the hard tyre reduces movement, making it colder, but ultimately lasting longer. So when it comes to making your tyres last, we need to focus on keeping the tyres in their most efficient operating window and moving less. As they heat up, the tyres are more likely to overheat and shred more on the tarmac, which provides the grip, leaving behind what the motorsport world knows as marbles, i.e. little bits of worn tyre. This happens excessively when the tyre goes beyond the grip limit, which can happen when the tyres are hot or cold. So we need to look at reducing this, and we'll start with steering. Steering is pretty simple, right? You steer left into a left corner.
Turn right to go left! Yes!
But it's more than that. You see, some drivers have a smooth style, and others have, well, a less smooth style. Jenson Button was particularly known for his smooth approach to driving, and that subsequently has an effect on the tyres. So let's look at someone on the opposite end of the scale. Lance Stroll. If you watch an onboard of his, you will see that the steering wheel does not stop moving. He's constantly making slight little corrections, and that moves the tyre across the surface of the tarmac more. This is great for getting heat into the rubber, but for keeping the heat and the usage down, not so much. Lewis Hamilton has a style that essentially allows him to turn into a corner at the exact right angle every time. If you look at his steering, it is far more decisive and smoother than Lance Stroll. This is why you'll see Lewis able to nurse old tyres for longer, because he is not putting them under as much stress, and therefore preserving the longevity of their effectiveness. In addition to this, you also want to be aware of the tyre's grip limit. Whether the tyres are hot or cold, the grip limit will vary, and you can preserve the longevity with a few small tips. Firstly, don't turn beyond the grip limit, so if you're understeering, don't just turn more. 2. Gradually turn in rather than quickly. This will vary on the car as to how gradual you need to be, but it still has the same effect. And 3rd, don't change direction abruptly. This will cause additional and needless wear to the tyres when, like before, a more gradual direction change will help prevent this. Now let's look at throttle. We've all done it where we've been too eager to get on the accelerator and end up causing oversteer. Now it seems obvious to tell you just don't oversteer, but it kind of is just that simple. Modulating the throttle on corner exit not only gives you stability and confidence in the car, but also helps preserve your tyres as they are not being put under as much stress. You can also short shift, which will also help prevent losing traction. Braking can also have an effect on this. Brake bias, for example, pushes more pressure to the front or back dependent on your settings, therefore essentially giving one axle's tyres more work to do than the other. You can cause lockups if you aren't careful with this, and flat spot a tyre even, effectively ruining that set and your stint as a whole. Another example with braking is suddenly getting on the brakes can cause additional tyre wear. Let's look at an airport runway, for example. Ever notice there's a huge patch of rubber where the planes normally touch down? This is because the wheels change rotational speed very quickly, causing that additional wear as the tyres try to grip on. Imagine that in reverse. Quickly slowing the wheels can shred tyres, so on a long stint, marginally using progressive braking, i.e. softer getting on the brake pedal, allows the tyres to adapt to the speed change and has less chance of using additional rubber. In looking at the Track Titan platform, we can see here that smoother driving with smoother steering and pedal inputs is definitely the slower approach, but while you may only lose a tenth or two in lap time, you'll gain in pit stop time. The longer you can go in between pit stops, the more likely you are to perform well. You can also use Track Titan to show you where you can find additional lap time. Track Titan can not only show you your session insights right down to your throttle and brake traces, but it can also provide personalised tips based on your individual performance. Additionally, as you start to get more accustomed to the platform, you can toggle on advanced mode, which allows you to view the data the way professional drivers would do in real life. By signing up on Track Titan with the code Tyres, you can get 30 days of unlimited data insights for free to help you get quicker, faster. So these are some tips you can use as a driver, but what about when you're setting up? Well, the second section is setup. As we've already spoken about, a tough driving style can cause additional tyre wear, whereas being kinder to them helps preserve their longevity. The exact same principle applies here too. We will look at toe and camber as two of the main contributors when it comes to tyre wear from setup. As you probably know, toe is the directional angle of the wheel and camber is the vertical angle. Toe essentially allows you to make the car more aggressive or more stable. The basic premise is that toe in is more stable and toe out is more responsive. Either one of these can cause additional tyre wear on the straights, but can actually benefit around the corners. You could make the car aggressive with toe out, which will give you loads of grip at the front, but will more than likely have a side effect on oversteer at the rear. This opens up both axles to additional tyre wear as, like we have previously mentioned, the faster you go, the more tyre you'll use. Comparatively, making the car stable with front toe in will preserve the rear tyres more, but is likely to cause you understeer. So you'll have a limited grip in the corners, which can cause an under rotation into a corner, again using additional tyre wear. Now let's discuss camber. This also enables you to make the car more aggressive or more stable. Negative camber is where the wheels are pointed towards the car, which is great for additional corner grip, but means the tyres are more susceptible to wear. Neutral camber is where the wheel sits perpendicular to the road, which is great for tyre longevity, but not so great for cornering performance. In both of these circumstances, you can eke out additional tyre performance at the expense of tyre life, so opting for a slightly softer and more stable setup allows the car to preserve the tyres more. Yes, this will cost performance, but it's all about trying to find the balance between outright speed and tyre life. We could also discuss tyre pressures where low pressure, medium pressure and high pressure all affect tyre wear as we can see here, but this perhaps is more common knowledge than the topics we have discussed. Don't forget to use the code TYRES when signing up on Track Titan to get 30 days of limited data insights for free, but apart from that, we hope you learned something today and can take that knowledge forwards in your own sim racing. So that's it for us today, thank you very much for watching and we'll see you next time.